Welcome back. How are you guys doing? Now, all I've said to Simon between yesterday and today, as far as I know, right? Yeah, right. Words to that effect that we haven't had. I don't think we've had any other conversations.
No, and you haven't plied me full of lager like you did on Friday night.
No.
So.
Yeah, I got the sequence wrong. How are you guys doing? I just love to check in with you since the exercise we did before I was telling you about trainer training. How was that for you? Good. Good. So Simon and I are going to have a conversation for a few minutes. Same rules as yesterday. I may turn and ask you guys questions from time to time, but please address your questions or comments to me rather than to Simon, okay? Just because we're in the midst of a piece of work, and so in effect. Fair enough? Okay. So Simon, how you doing?
Good. Yeah.
And I guess one of the things I was wondering is, what have you noticed since our conversation yesterday?
Well, yesterday it was funny. After our conversation, it sort of there's definitely something going on, you know, for the rest of the day, and that was fine. And today, I sort of woke up and sort of my day's been sort of an extra skip in my step, if you like. You know, it's sort of a bit of a bit more excitement than sort of frustration.
Great.
If you know what I mean.
Great. Now, what do you put that down to?
I think I can see the possibility clearer, rather than, you know, the sort of frustration is the word I use. You know, before it was, you know, being on that wheel, the familiar sort of wheel,
and now you can see the possibility more clearly.
Yes.
Yeah. So tell me more about that. Just like, and I know it may not be an exact science, but what is it that you've got greater clarity on now that you look at it?
I don't know, it might be a bit too soon to sort of say what that greater clarity is, but it's more a sense of that, yeah, as I said, the possibility that it's, you know, yeah, that it can happen.
Mm-hmm. And when we were talking yesterday, that I think where we got to was that you had this possibility of something you'd love to do, you know, going and creating that business and doing that. And so then the question was, how can you transition to that in a way that still ensures that you meet your commitments and take care of your responsibilities, and just do it in a way that isn't, you know, wildly reckless. That's the word I was looking for. Yeah. Does that still seem like, or has it changed and shifted?
No, that's exactly it. And I think the conversation that we had yesterday, and whatever I was left with, as I said, sort of ruminating inside me, you know, for the rest of the day. I think what's come out of that is a sense of, yeah, I don't have to do this on my own. You know, it's, you know, yeah, this kind of problem that I've been creating for myself has been very much a personal thing up to now. I've shared it with people who've listened, you know, on our calls. Sort of sometimes I sort of go on about it, but it's kind of been my private dilemma.
Right.
And I think yeah, just going back to your original question, how are things different today? I just feel, you know, I can get support for this, you know.
Sure.
From our conversation, a couple of other people have spoken to me about, you know, their experiences, and you know, it's possible. People have done it.
Yeah.
Ahead of me.
Yeah.
So other people have done it. I can do it.
Yeah.
I'm not quite exactly sure how that's going to happen yet, but yeah, that's all right. It can happen. And I'm pretty sure. Well, I know I want it to. You know, I'm clear on that.
Nice. Now, does this look different?
Yeah.
Yeah. So even though the 20 minutes or so that we spent yesterday wasn't, you know, the most amazing transformational thing on the face of it, actually things have really moved on already.
It felt quite powerful to me.
Yeah.
You know, sorry to eavesdrop on your conversation with him.
No, you're allowed to.
But it's yeah, I'm just reflecting on that. I was speaking to John and Don on the way home last time. When I went into the reflective state, that was quite something. How do you ask me a really simple question and I couldn't even answer it? You know, so yeah, there was quite a lot going on.
One of the things I'm noticing today is you strike, I don't know if you're noticing this, but you strike me as a little more relaxed and comfortable in your own skin. Not that yesterday I was thinking, oh, Simon doesn't feel that. I didn't really notice it. It's just the contrast that I'm noticing. I'm noticing an ease about this that I didn't see yesterday. Are you noticing that?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It feels, as I said, you know, I feel, yeah, this could happen.
Yeah.
Yesterday it was a bit, you know,
Yeah.
just the same old coming up against, you know, obstacles that were felt insurmountable.
Yeah. Well, and so a couple of things occur to me. What I heard you say was that you don't know exactly how. And of course, you know, it's like any journey, there are steps to be taken and things to be figured out and, you know, things to be explored and all that sort of stuff. What's your sense about, or do you have a sense about what the next step is?
No.
Okay. Well, the other thing I heard you say was that you can get help with this, and that's absolutely true. What are some of your ideas about that?
Again, I don't know, but you know, I know, you know, there's others who've you know, done this transition, and it would be, you know, be helpful. You know, I can you know, get that experience from others who've done this. To help coach me through that transition.
Well, funnily, that's something I gave some thought to, and I've made some changes to the way I do coaching over the last couple of years. So what I used to do was basically most of the coaching I did was either on a program at the front of the room or as part of an apprenticeship type scheme, which would cost anywhere from £30,000 to £40,000 and take place over a year and that sort of thing. Now, it does seem to me, as I was thinking about what would be helpful to Simon, and one of the things that I think would be helpful is some kind of support over an extended period of time through that journey. So there are a bunch of different ways that could happen. At one end of the spectrum, if we're talking about doing stuff with me, at one end of the spectrum it would be a program like the trainer training program that I was talking about earlier, which would give you access and support and some of that stuff. But my sense was that what you're wanting is a more in-depth transformational coaching experience, as well as that kind of one-to-one guidance on that journey. Is that? So there's a couple of ways that I do that, and what I had thought about was there's a thing I do which is an intensive. It's a 3-day intensive, and then it has a year of follow-up coaching sessions with it. So what that allows is the kind of transformational experience we had in 20 minutes yesterday. You have that over the course of 3 days. And I'd love to say I know exactly what's going to come out of that for you, but that's like me saying I know exactly what's going to happen in the course of that whole journey for you. I don't. But what people usually find is that they come out of that with a a much deeper foundation for what they want to create and for their life, and a trajectory that they can set out in that direction. And then the coaching would just allow us to stay on track through the course of a year as you move in that direction. So that's one option. Another option is, like I said, the trainer program that I was talking about earlier, or a combination of both. It really depends how much time and energy and that sort of thing you want to spend in it.
Yes, I know, it sounds very interesting, yeah. Yeah, I'd like to have those conversations.
Which conversations?
About what we can, you know, I really like the sound of the intensive. I like the sound of it all, you know. And in terms of time, yeah. Well, my time's, you know, in a way, really busy, but it's my own as well.
So let me check. Now I'm just going to pause for a sec. So what are you noticing so far?
You were very clear, you know, what you presented to Simon. Said, you know, these are the ways I can help you with, and you give him choice. So it's actually presuming that he's going to choose one.
Well, now,
in a way,
the presumption may have been there in my language, but that's probably just an old habit. I feel very, very clear that, like when I said to him, what are the options you've identified for getting help and support? He said, well, one of them's you know, me, but I assume there are going to be others, and I don't assume that I'm the best choice for Simon. I might be or I might not be. That's to be discovered. What often happens with clients in this process is they'll be saying, oh, well, we could do that. And I'll say, well, like, so one client contacted me and said, how would I hire you for a day? You know, what would it cost and how could we make that happen? So let's have a phone call. So I get on the phone. I said, let's find out what you want to get. So I'm digging more into it. I'm not going with it. I'm saying, well, let's find out more, because I don't want to do something with a client unless I feel really confident that they're going to come out of it a happy camper. So that's what I'm trying to figure out as well. So it may be that I presumed something in my language, but I kind of didn't mean to.
but in no way I meant it as a challenge, or I just observed, like, you know, okay, so these are the three things, and
Yeah.
someone is willing to do something. So it seems to me that he's going to choose one of these for all of them.
Well, maybe. Who knows? Who knows? Johnny.
I didn't get that impression at all. And again, separate realities. What I got was that if Simon's in front of you, okay, this is a context, he's at the front of the room, it's not that. But if he's in that conversation with you and it's got to that point, then I would actually say you would be doing him a disservice. This isn't you, this is normal. You'd be doing him a disservice by not offering. It's almost like,
Oh, yeah.
like flirting with a girl and not asking her out on a date. She's going to go home disappointed.
Well, especially if it's you flirting with her, Johnny.
Yeah, but I think recently I've done more what you could call, if you wanted to call them sales calls, you can call them sales calls. If you want to call them Copernicus, call them Copernicus. But yeah, people will often have reservations about this being a sales call, and they sort of may have the spikes upon their back very early about that. The easiest way to deal with that is not to objection handle, it's for it genuinely and honestly to not be a sales call.
Yeah. Now here's the thing, when I'm making a call, I'll say at the beginning, one of the ways that this can turn out is with you and I deepening our client relationship, but I'm okay with that. They're typically okay with that too. So yeah. So I'm going to jump back to Simon. So in terms of, so what I heard you say was that actually it all sounds good and I'm busy, but I could make time for it. If it turned out that the kind of combination of trainer training and an intensive and the year of coaching, all that, if it turned out that seems like the right fit for you, could you make the time for that?
Absolutely, yeah.
Oh, okay. Did that seem relatively? So he's being very clear. This is in the trade. This is what people call buying signals or yes signals. So there's no sense of me having to, like, I'm just asking genuine questions, thinking what could be a challenge, asking about that and that sort of thing. So Simon had said about how he's busy and that sort of thing. So I ask a question. So absolutely. Okay. Well, so in terms of the different, ways of working I've mentioned, what would you want to get from engaging in that, to know that that it's a good fit for you, that it's working for you, that sort of thing?
Well, I like the when you talked about the intensive 3 days way of working. What was particularly attractive about that was the ongoing relationship and check-in and to ensure that I'm on track and what I'm setting out to do is done.
Yeah.
So I think it's there's two aspects. There's sort of identifying that sort of the outcome, if you like, and that authentic desire, and then the path to actually achieving it.
Well, and it seems to me like you've already identified the authentic desire. Like you seem as authentically desiring as hell.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so the path to get there and how you discover that path.
Yeah, that transition. Yeah.
That's one of the things that's going to emerge from the context of the intensive and the follow-up, and most importantly, of taking the next step and the next step and the next step and the next step. So once you've identified that desire, in my experience, action is one of the, like, I love the idea of doing some coaching and intensive and all that stuff, and I wouldn't be willing to do that if you're not committed to taking that action as well. Now, albeit the desire could change at some point, and we can talk about that then, but if you agree that that's the desire, that's what you want to do, then action's got to be part of it.
Yes. No, I think it's all about action. Yeah, agreed.
Okay. So if we were going to do that, if we were to shake hands on it, would you be willing to commit to take, if you and I both agree that there's something that's the right thing for you to do, the right next step for you to take, will you be willing to take it?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
Even if you're afraid to take it, that sort of thing?
I'll do it anyway.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, no, I absolutely, yeah. I know, I think, as you say, there's no doubt about what I want to do. It is that. It's just that. Managing that transition and having help doing that. It's vital. Yeah. And yes, I am. Don't know how that's going to happen at the moment, but I'm not afraid to take that step. I'm not going to. I am, and I'm not. If you know what I mean.
Okay. So do you want to know about investment for that stuff and that sort of thing? Okay, so the intensive plus a year of follow-up calls is £15,000 plus VAT. So that's the kind of the entry-level coaching package, if you like, for a year of coaching. But if you wanted to include the trainer training with it, then we could do something that gets you both without it being the full price of both.
Okay.
So
yeah, I mean that's the thing. You know, the trainer training is something that's very much of interest as well. So ideal world, it would
be both.
be both. Yeah.
Okay. Well, for both, the number that I've got in my head is for the whole package would be £20,000 plus VAT.
Okay. Yeah, that sounds good.
Oh, I expected it to sound scary. I'm a little
It does sound
disappointed.
good. But it, you know, yeah.
Okay. So often when I share a not unscary number with people, they, on the one hand, they know they want to do something, but there's kind of a like, how the fuck am I going to justify that?
There is that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, and here's the thing, I don't want you to do this if it's not the right thing for you. So where are you at with that side of it? Let me pause a second. I'm not trying to create limitations or anything like that. I'm just working on the basis that Simon's a guy with a job and with a family and financial responsibilities and all that sort of stuff. This is probably going to be a significant, if he decides to go ahead with it, it's probably going to be a significant investment. And while he may be, oh no, it's no problem, I've got the money sitting in my Swiss bank account, it's no problem. I'm noticing that all the just instant yes signals from earlier, it's a little more, so I'm mind reading that it's a little more going on. So I'm just acknowledging that. I'm just acknowledging that. What was your experience of that when I kind of said, oh, I thought it would be kind of a scary number and that sort of stuff?
Well, that's my experience of that was you're not shoving this down. Yeah, it's a soft, approach, and you're speaking to me more as a sort of on a friendly basis. It's not sort of a hard business proposition or anything. So it's that supportive and everything. It is a significant investment. I can see the value in it. I really would love to do it. Obviously, we'd have to have those conversations.
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, so a couple of questions I'd like to ask, but before I do, so what Simon just said about supportive and that sort of thing, I never want there to be any sales pressure with this kind of, if I'm going to be working closely with someone as a coaching client and that sort of thing, I'm happy to be confrontational with them, to be challenging, all that sort of stuff, but I don't want to be putting pressure on them to do something with me. It just doesn't feel right to me. So I want it to be supportive. I want it to be based in relationship and giving value. Does that make sense? Okay. Yeah, Nyla.
I just want to double check that Simon is not role playing. As in, are you, directed to you is whether he's saying yes is because he's doing a demo, or if his yes is because he really genuinely is here. I'm a little bit uncertain.
Oh, well, I don't know either, Nyla.
Okay.
I don't know either. I'm just going where it goes. I said to him at the beginning yesterday, if we do a deal at the front of the room, I'm not going to hold you to it. okay? But having said that, it all feels pretty real to me. Now, I won't hold, I wouldn't, if we shake hands on something and agree at the front of the room, I'm still going to have an offline conversation. And if he goes, you know what, I was dazzled by the spotlights, I'll be fine with that. But I'd be happy to do something like this where it isn't that as well. So anyway, back to Simon. So that makes total sense to me. You want to have conversations about it. You want to make sure it's a wise investment. Just so that I know that we're on the same page, what would you have to get from this sort of investment, this sort of decision, for it to be in 6 months or a year's time or 2 years' time, for you to look back on it as having been just a no-brainer good decision?
Well, that's what I was thinking, you know, and where my mindset is with this, and it, you know, it feels real to me, is that it's a significant amount of money. But I'm not looking at it as sort of a cost so much as more as an investment, you know. And I can see the value, you know, just from, you know, this, and you know, the figures that you proposed to me. Yes, they're significant figures, but you know, I came to this sort of already thinking, right, this is trainer training I'm sort of up for, and then wow, that package, you know, of the 3-day intensive and coaching sounds awesome as well. So I can see the value in it, and now I'm thinking, right, okay, but that is a lot of money. That would be quite an interesting conversation with the other half. We'll have a bottle of wine with that one. But I'm thinking of, okay, but what can I potentially get out of this? You know, myself, you know, in terms of what's my return going to be on this investment?
Well, and that's what I'd love you to think about, because I don't want you to sign up for something like this unless it's really justified to you. Now, you may there's a wide range with this. So some people justify it purely in terms of pounds and pence, which is fine. They say, look, for it to be a no-brainer, I'd have to earn the entire investment back by the end of the program.
Yeah.
And I must admit, when I first did something like this, that was how I justified it to myself. I said, if I can earn it back by the end of the program based on things I learned from the program, that was the commitment I made to myself. Yeah. So I earned it back in the first 3 months.
Yeah.
So that was my commitment to myself.
Yeah.
But not everyone wants to do that. Some people say, look, if I just have a deeper sense of peace and well-being and comfort in my own situation, I'd be happy with that. So I'm happy for you to choose anywhere on that spectrum.
No, I'm with you on the first one.
Yeah.
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 Sort of, you know, I'm immediately thinking, okay, how quickly can I get that back? And will I probably be able to sort of, you know, finance that all by what I earn anyway? So.
And you know that's down to you, right? Yeah. Okay, great.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, here's the other thing I'd love you to reflect on, is assuming you do that, so that you're going to earn it back, what else would you love to get from it that would make it amazing?
Well, I mean, it would just be a whole new lifestyle.
Tell me more about that.
Well, I'll have redesigned how I work. I have a new business. I'll have accelerated that. That's how I see it. I'll make that happen a lot quicker. Yeah, I'll start living how I've been sort of dreaming for too long. I can see the possibility in that becoming a reality, without a doubt.
I like it.
I've always known that that is, you know, a possibility, but it's, you know, I've been going round and round.
Until now.
Until now, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I like it.
Feels good.
So, I guess there well, what makes sense to you? Either, I mean, I'd suggest, first of all, that you spend some more time for yourself reflecting on, like, just kind of allowing yourself to spend some time in that place of possibility. I suggest that you do that. I suggest that you give some thought to how you want to talk to your partner about this, because that sounds like a really important conversation. And then I suggest we have another conversation to decide how to move forward. Does that make sense?
Yes, definitely.
What's the time scale for that?
A week?
Okay. We'll speak in a week.
Yeah.
Right on.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So, what did you notice? What else did you notice in that? Simon?
I just thought you made it more comfortable, because it looks like, I think what you noticed earlier, when you said the numbers, you got a bit, there were some thoughts going around those numbers, and sort of addressed each one individually, so you brought him back to a space where it's still in my power. You
Yeah.
sort of left him in the power to decide.
Yeah, there were a couple of things there. I wanted to, first of all, I wanted to acknowledge any sticker shock that he had going on, as they call it. I wanted to let him know that it's totally okay to go through whatever process he needs to go through, and any concerns he has or anything like that. I wanted to let him know that, A, I get that it's totally appropriate for him to discuss it with his partner, and also that what I said, I don't want you to do this unless you find a way that sits right for you to justify it to yourself. I mean that, because I find the coaching clients who do best are the ones who have made a commitment to themselves about what they're going to get from it. Don?
I also like the way you helped them clarify what you needed to do to come to that decision.
Yeah.
And then allowed him to choose the time we were going to have the next conversation. So that was a really nice way to...
Now, the other thing I wanted to do with him is, when we finish the conversation, I want him to be looking in the direction of that possibility, looking in the direction of what he wants to create. That's where I want to leave him, rather than in the place of, I'll go ask my boss if I can have the time off work, or I'll go ask my missus if I can afford it, or I'll that sort of thing. I want him to be in that place of possibility, because the thing that Simon's going to be investing in is his dream, his desire. And that's the thing that it's not the coaching. It's what it's going to help him create. That's the thing that he's investing in. Does that make sense? So that's where I want to end the conversation, is in that place of possibility. Alberto?
In a way, this is against the, let's say, conventional wisdom. When he's ready to pay, take the credit card details. You are giving him space, even to say no.
Yeah, so part of why I wanted to do this weekend is you've had who hasn't seen Mamoon's Free Sessions That Sell session yet? Who hasn't? It's worth checking it out, because Mamoon's approach is a one-shot deal. He gets someone on the phone and he closes the deal. Gets someone on the phone and closes the deal. I just don't do it that way. I've just got a different way of doing it. And this isn't to show you this is the way to do it. It's for you to find the way that fits for you. But I wanted you to see this way so that you know there isn't just one way. It's about finding what works for you. Part of why I do it like this is I don't want people to feel any sales pressure. I want every conversation I have to be an investment in our relationship. And I want to feel good about every step of the the sales process, the coaching conversation, every step of it. And because who I'm working with is often coaches and trainers and consultants, I want to show you guys that there's a way to sell that uses your coaching skills and doesn't make you feel creepy or like you're pressuring people or whatever. Does that make sense?
It's also good the way you helped him by saying, what would make it a no-brainer? Because if you can provide that, I'm sure that makes it an easier decision.
Yeah.
But also you're helping yourself because it helps you get it, which you'll do later on anyway, but it makes it very clear from the start what you need to provide.
Yeah.
And that you're comfortable with doing that as well.
Yeah. Absolutely.
If they turn around and said, well, actually within the first week I want to make £1 million, you're going to go, well, maybe this is not right.
Yeah. Maybe you want to consider bank robbery. Johnny.
The thing I most love, Jamie, was your frame control.
Someone's going to have to bring it in.
No, almost exactly that, but the opposite. It was how it was and is so seamless. Like, it sounds like a kind of a playground thing to say, but I know that whether you guys do this or don't this, that you guys will still be friends.
And that's the most important thing to me. That's the most important thing. I don't want the only sales conversations that I hate are the ones where the other person is so insecure that they think I'm trying to pressure them in, and I'm just like asking my question, and they're so freaked out, and they think it's me doing it. And I'm like, no, because I know they're going to hate me after this, and I just want. And so I'll completely back up from it and that sort of thing because it's just so uncomfortable. I don't want that.
Yeah, I've had a couple of experiences recently where it's been, I don't know, for want of a better word, an introductory coaching session with a view to possibly more. And the irony has been that the thing that they most need coaching for is the thing that's most holding them back from committing to doing it.
Yeah.
And it's a delicious irony.
Yeah.
But yeah, how the whole
A delicious irony that tastes of poo.
The funny thing is, no, it doesn't.
No, I'm just teasing.
I know you're, but like genuinely, the more that I can see that my best way of serving them is just like, if I genuinely believe it, then I have to live it.
Yeah. And I guess for all of us, actually, almost by definition, the places where we could most do with some help are probably the places where we're most kind of tense about getting some. It's like, oh, don't touch there, it's sore. And so yeah, well said. So now here's the interesting thing. So I've made a proposal, and we've agreed to speak in a week. So I'm not trying to get him to decide today because it's clear to me he needs to have some conversations and he needs to reflect some more and that sort of thing. I'm fine with that. Because this is in the context of relationship. It's in the context of relationship. And that's the way I like to think of it. Did you have a question, Alison? I saw you. No. Any other questions for me or for Simon?
What was your experience, Simon? How did you feel?
I thought good. I mean, it was, I didn't know what was going to happen. I came in, not really without any expectations. But I've been feeling, quite sort of, excited today after yesterday. So there's a bit of anticipation, and then my experience of it. It was interesting as it unfolded. I went through a mixture of emotions through the whole thing. Sort of excitement, nervous, sort of falling off my chair, almost. Just a mixture of things. So, and then possibility, and I've now got quite a lot. I'm back in that reflective state, actually.
Yeah. The other thing I want to draw your attention to, yesterday's session with Simon, you know, I've said a couple of times, it wasn't a big wow. What I mean by that, it may not have looked like a big deal from the outside. But whenever Simon, or whenever anyone touches that place of reflection, that's where the action is. That's where, now I'm not saying whenever they try, there's something about that reflective place where they go beyond their conditioned thinking, beyond their habitual thinking. They've stepped into that place of possibility. And that place of possibility is where the goodies are. That's where the good stuff happens. And so from the outside, it may have seemed like the questions I was asking were very, very, you know, a primer for coaches, coaching questions. There was no fancy language patterns, or, well, maybe there were, but I didn't notice them. It wasn't all, you know, razzmatazz, as far as I could tell. But the impact seems to have been quite profound. Johnny?
Yes, I mean, I've come to a realisation on recent journeys, and this was in the context specifically of NLP, but that people talk about NLP as if it's a thing, like that somebody woke up one day and like invented all this new stuff. No, they codified what was already happening well. In fact, that was the essence of what NLP was designed to be. The point of the story, if there is one, sales is actually the same. Sort of sales theory and sales techniques and sales this, that and the other. It's just a codification of, you know, people have been selling shit for centuries. They didn't have textbooks and seminars. It's a synthesis of a natural process. I think it's important to remember that what occurs organically anyway.
My aim for myself in this is to serve Simon and to do it from a place of staying relatively clear-headed. So the questions I'm asking him are so we can both explore from a place of clarity and reflection and peace. And if either of us get up in our head about anything, I want to settle that down as quickly as I can, or as gently as I can. Did you want to add anything at this point, Simon?
Just coming back more to what Dom was asking, I think there's a kind of a rawness there for me, if that makes sense. It's kind of, this is quite sensitive ground for me, and I've kind of stepped on it, and it's kind of raw, but that's probably where I can sort of identify that that's probably where the gold is. So it's a mixture of feelings, one of kind of excitement and possibility, and one of kind of like tender nervousness, you know, if that makes sense. So it's, yeah, I've got a mixture of emotions sort of going on.
And I like that tenderness. I like that. I think of, because that excitement and possibility is coming from your spirit. It's coming from who you really are.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah, and that's always been there, but it's kind of exposed a bit now.
Well, there's a vulnerability there in wanting what you want.
Yeah, yeah.
I like it.
Yeah, it's, you know, a bit scary, a bit, you know, exciting, and all those things. So yeah.
Enjoy that.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah.
I'll speak to you in a week.
Yes. Thank you.
Let's give him a round of applause.